Hello, my kako.
Aloha.
There's absolutely nothing I could say that would be more relevant and meaningful at each time than this person I want. And the reason for that is they remind me when I was in school. Remind me not when I was 10 years old, but when I was a senior graduate. They remind me that the only problem the world saw was that we're not feeding enough of our populations because we can't distribute food enough across the planet. It was about world hunger. So their language, they're talking about Malama Aina, Malama Honua. They're talking about things like invasive species. They're talking about stream mitigation. They're talking about words that remind us of climate change, remind us of us being unsustainable, that remind us of issues of energy and food sovereignty. That was not the language in schools back then. And I think that's why we weren't trained to be able to take care of the earth, because it wasn't valued. It wasn't in the institutions. It wasn't in the conversation. This is the, honestly, we say it too often, but it's really true. This is the last hope. Young people. If our generation does not believe that we can heal this world, then the best thing we can do is support them as they do. You know, I don't want to speak too long, but it's been a long journey. I blink. Thank you all for coming, every one of you. Royal Hawaiian and Kilya and others who support this. Mayor, it's an honor to have you. It's emotional, it's deep. I was sick for a year after the Roll White Voyage. I had no idea until it was over. I lost 12 pounds and I couldn't get it back. I had no idea of how much strain it was until it was power. And the strain comes from you're a witness to the earth. And in the words of my great friend, the astronaut, Lacey Beach, I know you have no idea how beautiful your island Earth is. You see the whole thing from space. We're changing it. It's going to change us. And our generation doesn't know what to do. Say Hokulea. That was in 1992. When he was sick with lymphomelanoma, late September 1995, his wife calls me from Houston at the Space Center and says, you gotta come. He ain't got time. So I went to see him. The man that planted the seed for the Malama Honua voyage was in 1992. You can't protect what you don't understand, and you won't if you don't care, and you can't do it by yourself. It's a global issue. He was sick and he had these homework for me to do. He said, Nainoa, you better pay attention to the new language. Listen to what people are saying about the earth. It's words like climate change, sustainability, hypoxia, dead zones, acidification. Look at what's happening when Greenland melts and we drown our atolls. It's happening. And then he said, you'll sail around the world. You look for the light because we're in the storm. Find the light that'll get us out of the storm. And you're going to find, this is the prophet, this is the genius, this is the most optimistic person I met in my life, said, you're going to find that the most powerful starlight is really when you get back home to Hawaii. And you know what? He's correct. For 16 years, we would debate as leadership once a year at our annual Voyaging Ohanaba'a meeting. Every year we would talk about Lacey's vision after we lost him in 1995. Every year we would talk about the value, the need, why we need to go around the world. But every time we met, we would talk about the other side, risk, danger. And we talk about a hurricane and the pirate and the mosquito. We talk about the rogue wave of South Africa. We talk about the violence of the Middle East. We talk about Yemen and Somalia. And every time we went into the danger would outweigh the purpose and the value of going, and we would both know. But Lacey said, pay attention to the language of the new earth. We're changing it. And we were listening. Leadership was listening. In 2008, there was a meeting on April 1st here in Honolulu with our leadership, and the question was different. It wasn't whether we should go around the world or not. We knew we needed to go. The question was, what's more dangerous? The pirate, the hurricane, the rogue wave, the mosquito, or keep your canoes tied to the dock. And don't go because you're too afraid. And then accept that your future will be understood if you didn't go, and accept that what's going to really damage their future is ignorance, it's apathy, and it's inaction. We voted 4 times because you gotta be unanimous. If you're not united, it ain't gonna work. We voted 4 times. We didn't know how to do it, but we needed to go. Then we were trained for 6 years. So this day that we so-called close the chapter, no. There's no chapters that you close. You just keep going. When the children say Malama Honua matters, then we keep going. But today is a day that we do take a moment to recognize some of the reasons why the Pacific is so crucial to the future of the earth. This ocean's right offshore is half the salt water of the planet. It's 1/3 the surface of the earth. All terrestrial lands on the planet, you can fit it into our oceans. If you want to do something about climate change, then ask the question, where does the climate get protected from? It's the oceans. In the next 4 breaths you take, 3 came from the tiny invisible plant called plankton. It's the things that we can't see that have to be protected. It's the ocean, and we're in the center of it. I asked students to solve 2 questions. Go find the center of the Pacific by drawing 2 lines from the Aleutians to the Antarctica to Chile to China. Find the center of the Pacific. It's 3 miles offshore from Tapu Tapu Apea. And then, how high do you have to go vertically to see the shoreline? And they go, they brought it back, they go, oh, it's 30,000. I said, no. Airplane fly at 30,000 feet. All they see is water. No. It's 30,000 miles. It's 1/7 the distance of the moon. This is our home. There's no separation between Palau or Maui or here in Oahu. It's the same ocean, and we got to come together. So when we think about what's going to protect the oceans, when we protect the alawai, we protect the coral reef. So being here today, I was really sad about coming here, because, thinking about the thousands, the 522 crew members that sailed the worldwide voyage, and 10 times that supported each one of those crew members, thousands of people. the 9 years, the 6 years of training, the 3 years of voyaging, and this Mahalo Hawaii sail to, and thank you to the State Department of Education, your courageous principals, your district managers who allowed, we're actually not finished. We're going to Lanai next week. Every school child from Lanai is coming down. And then we didn't do Kauai because they were dredging the harbor. We couldn't get in, so we got to go later. But all 9,000 school kids are coming to the canoe to be vaccinated. We don't know the numbers, but well over half the population of our school kids have come to Hawaii, to the canoe, and that is because, I don't know, you need to ask them. But the reason why we did is that ultimately, the permission we needed to go around the world was from our children. If Hokulea is not relevant, if Hokulea has no meaning, they don't know its history and its heritage, and they don't care, why would we go? So the promise to children was set back in 2013, and now it's only getting reinforced to what we need to do. The water you're seeing right here is holding Hokulea up, comes from the Aotearoa, the schools, Palolo, Manoa, Makiki. That up that mountain is the most densely populated communities in the state of Hawaii, which exactly is why it's the most polluted body of water. It's not here, it's up there. And I'm honored to be a part of your vision and your dream and your aspirations. You're asking for help. That canoe is with you. Tell us where to go, and we'll help you as best we can. This crew is with you, so they know what you're going to do is what we can't do. A girl in the United Nations, Megan, teenagers. Yeah, I love Malama Honua, but do know that for my generation, that it's your generation that's killing us. That you're borrowing everything from us with no plan to pay back the debt. So help us. And that's what I heard from them. Help them, help them. I do know it's going to take courage to do things that we ultimately don't believe we can do. I do want to point out two friends of mine. One is fellow Voyager President Namingasaw. We're so conditioned to give up on unrealistic dreams. But there's a small republic called Palau that's cracked the code. That's figured out that the way that we're going to build a rich economy for our people is not to extract from the natural environment, but to make the natural environment to be healthy. President Ramingasaw has not only broken down all the rules and the barriers about the difference between economy and ecology, that in his world and his islands, it's the same thing. So when he took me diving in the lake and took me diving on the vertical reefs, you don't touch anything. Leave it alone. You come, but no footprint on this land. And that way, when we value our ecology and our life beyond us, people are going to want to come. And they're going to want to know. Because that is the light. Now, the ingredients that we need for the future is what he does. He's a courageous man to stand up when nobody else did, put down the Micronesia Challenge. 30% of our oceans will be protected in the country that is considered to be the poorest, and the country that has nothing to do with climate change but is suffering the most. He's a man of courage, and the other is our governor. When the United States decides that climate change isn't real, that it's a waste of time, and it's hurting our economy. I promise you, if we go down that road, we go bankrupt. Ecologically, culturally, indigenous people, and your economy. Promise you. It's a really bad road. We would be the only country in the whole United Nations to pull out of the Paris Agreement. The only one that some would measure our country to be the one that pollutes and wastes the most, and we take no responsibility for it. This is not a political statement. It is a statement of courage because our governor would stand up and sign onto the agreement. Because it's the right thing to do. But I know him. Hawaii deserves better. The country may go down the wrong sale plan, but he won't let Hawaii go down the wrong sale plan. When we commit to be the first state to go 100% renewables, that's a statement of courage. When we become the first United Nations hub as an island nation, there's a reason for that. Because I believe the United Nations knows that Hawaii has great leadership. It's willing to have the courage to do the right thing. It'll stand up for what it believes. It'll stand by its people and its place to make sure that we take care of here. And the United Nations knows that above all, the reason why Hawaii is the light in the storm, that we will find a way out, it's because of two things that I've known, and one thing I've learned today: the power of community when it's united. When the communities come together and says, this is right, we're going to stand up, we're going to be driving change, things happen. I have never seen any place else in the world that is more navigators who are driving more change at a pace and rate which is so critically important than Hawaii. Thank you. I'm proud to be a citizen. What I learned today, and I had no idea, it's the power of schools when they are clear about what is the purpose of school. If the school is saying that our job is to train young navigators to come and take care of this land, I can't think of a better school in the world. It's when we're clear and we know our purpose. So with that, on behalf, I'm talking way too much. I'm emotional. It's a very special day. I felt weakened today, but I feel strong now. And,